Hi, I'm Ed Roland from the band Collective Soul, and you are watching LifeMinute TV.
It's been 30 years since Georgia-born band Collective Soul stepped onto the noisy 90s rock scene. Their hard-hitting guitar riffs, introspective lyrics, and of course Ed Roland's gritty yet soulful vocals solidified their sound in the post-grunge era. To celebrate 3 decades of music, the guys are out on the road with old friends Hootie and the Blowfish and Edwin McCain for the Summer Camp with Trucks tour. They've also released a double EP called Here to Eternity that they recorded at Elvis Presley's Palm Springs estate, the first band ever to do that since Elvis himself lived there. We caught up with Roland recently from his home in Atlanta to hear all about it and more. This is a Life Minute with Collective Soul's Ed Roland. Hi.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on Life Minute.
Oh, no, thank you for having me.
Is that a double vinyl? Let's see it.
Yeah, look at there. Yeah. All our pictures and all that fun stuff. Very proud of it. Well, we recorded it at Elvis Presley's estate in Palm Springs. We knew the guys that owned it, and Elvis had spent his last Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthday, and his last 3 albums were recorded in that house, but it had been dormant since he passed. They were about to redo it, and I just asked. I was like, hey, can we have it for the month of January? This was 2023. And they were like, of course, go in there. There's nothing in there. I was like, we'll put stuff in there. We'll stage it. We got furniture, rented furniture out there that made it look like the king was still there. Came in and just started with 12 songs. And the guys, we're old fashioned, or we record. Johnny sets his drum up, our drummer. Then we horseshoe around him. I present the songs. We rehearse for an hour. Everybody gets comfortable with it. And then, no more than 5 takes. It's done. So they recorded in 4 days, 10 or 12 songs. We didn't go in to make a double album. So I told them to take 4 days off, go hang out in Joshua Tree, hike, go play golf, ride bikes, whatever you want to do. And I sat in Elvis's party room and had my vinyls. I'm a vinyl guy. I love vinyl. I had my record player vinyls brought out. And I just listened in Elvis's party room and somehow came up with 10 more songs. And then they came back in and knocked it out again. It was fun. I'm the first man to sleep in Elvis's bedroom. Everybody's really excited. The band stayed at Burt Lancaster's house, which is how we came up with the title Here to Eternity, because that was the big movie Burt was in, From Here to Eternity. So I was like, well, that's interesting. That's the title. Just everything fell into place. I slept in Elvis's bedroom. Our engineer producer slept in Priscilla's bedroom, and we set up the control room in Lisa Marie's bedroom and just went to town.
I heard that actually Lisa Marie passed, that you guys were there.
When she passed, that night the ceiling fell in her bedroom. So it was kind of spooky. People would come up to Elvis's house every day, just sit there and take pictures. And if I'd see somebody, I'd let them in, but then they would have vigils for Lisa Marie. They'd come there and just start singing Elvis's song outside. It was really beautiful, to be honest with you. It was kind of nice. So we'd invite him in and just go, hey, we're making a record here. Just make yourself at home, drink some food over there, make yourself at home and walk around. It was nice to see. And we met very interesting people doing that. I had met the guys that owned it about 5-6 years ago, and they were talking about redoing it. And they approached me about maybe doing a YouTube channel where people come in and promote their new songs, and then they do an Elvis song, very, very similar, like Daryl's House or something in that form. They'd asked me to do it, and then, the pandemic happened and all of that wackiness. They still didn't know what they were doing. And then I was like, well, just let me come in for a month. Let me and the boys. They were great to us. Being from the South, being from Atlanta, it's a very cult-like. Growing up, I remember having Elvis tunes on all the time. My dad was a minister, so we had gospel, hymnal music. Elvis was allowed, but it was a lot of Elvis's gospel stuff. But it was like the 50s music that played around the house till I was of age and found my own little niche and what I wanted to listen to. But yes, he was a big part.
Who were some of your other influences?
First and foremost, my parents. My dad was a minister of music first, and my mom played piano in the church. So that just introduced me to everything. But as far as rock and roll, it'd be Elton John and Bernie Taupin. That was the first record I bought with my own money, was Elton John's Greatest Hits. Had no idea who he was. Just looked cool in the picture. I thought, man, that kind of looks cool. Then after that, it just started going haywire because I was, of age, and my dad would take me to shows. He took me to see Johnny Cash, took me to see Liberace, the Kinks, Eagles, and he took me to see Elton. And that's kind of when it just kind of, to me, it was like, I just want to be a songwriter. I'd like to be on stage, but I just wanted to be a songwriter, like Elton and Bernie and Johnny and Dave and Ray, Kinks. There was nothing else I wanted to do. And that was it. Because my dad was operatic trained. He was supposed to go sing opera in Italy before him and God had a talk, and he decided he wanted to be a minister. He had this beautiful baritone operatic voice, and then I come out. It took me years to get comfortable with how I sounded, but it's just how I sound. My dad was always so supportive about it. I was like, well, have the full body. Like, he goes, not everybody does. He goes, I think it's great. Just keep doing what you're doing. Find it. And just kept going. Just stay in pitch. It is a little different, and that's okay. But, you're always self-conscious at the beginning. You're like, oh, God, I don't sound like Tommy Shaw or David Bowie. I don't sound like Elton. Finally, you just let go, and you kind of go, I am as God made me. This is all you get. I had a friend. I'll never forget, I was at the lunchroom at high school, and I just said, I'm going to learn to play guitar. I want to write songs. And my buddy, who was the only guitar player in the school, says, I have an extra acoustic. So the next day, he brought an acoustic guitar to me, let me borrow it. And he brought me an Elvis book and an Eagles book that showed you how to do chords. I learned from that, and my dad got me a Barry Manilow sheet music.
And what about your brother? How did you guys realize you were going to do something together?
We really did. There's a 10-year age difference, and I didn't even know he played guitar. I came home from work one night to go see Mom and Dad. He was still in high school, and he's playing guitar, and I was like, dude, I didn't know you played guitar. And he's like, yeah, I've been trying to learn. And I was like, okay. We just started jamming a little bit. He and the rest of the guys were in a frat band when I was in a basement studio putting all the first song on the first album, Hints. I was just trying to get a publishing deal. And then Shine just kind of had a life of its own. It just took off. And then I called my brother. I was like, hey, would y'all mind learning 2 or 3 songs? That I basically interjected myself into their band.
What comes first for you, the lyrics or the music?
Music comes first. And a lot of times the lyric, something will spurt out and I'll go, okay, that's it. But the melody comes first for sure. It's easier for me then to fit the lyrics into the phrasing that I want, or what I hear, I should say, for the melody. But sometimes they come together really quick. I think I've only written 2 songs where I had the lyrics first. I just wrote a story and then I put the music around it. I'm not Elton and Bernie. I don't know how he does that. It's more musical for me first, just to figure out that melody. And then hopefully most of the time something just blurts out. I'm like, okay, that's the thesis, or that's the subject matter. Here we go. Now put the pieces puzzle together.
Let's talk about the album for a bit.
All right.
More. Tell me about some of the songs on there.
Well, Mother's Love was the first one I wrote for the record.
What we can and what we should, still abide above all my street from Mother's Love.
Boy, man, it's such a heavy riff, but like I said, just Mother's Love just kept coming up. So I wasn't going to deny it. So when I presented it to the guys, I was like, it's called Mother's Love. And they're like, that's cool. So it was kind of that way. I love Bob Dylan, Where Are You Tonight? I recorded that live at the Ryman Theater in Nashville, which was a lot of fun and kind of a big deal for me. Be the One I recorded in Elvis's bedroom. That one was the last song I wrote when the guys were on vacation. They were coming back in that morning, and I had like 9 songs prepared, but I wrote that morning. So I went in and did it as a demo in Elvis' bedroom, just me and the piano. The first take, I forgot the lyrics. Second take, I messed the lyrics up. The third take, I got it down. So when they came in, I said, here's one I wrote. And I'll never forget, my brother goes, we're not adding anything to that. Just leave it as is. And I was like, you don't think we should put strings or anything? He goes, nope, that's it. I was like, okay. That was interesting. La-di-da is what my grandmother used to sing walking around the house. And that was just her phrase, la-di-da. And I was like, okay, I'll write a song like, you just pick up on different things in life. It's one of the records that, you're always proud when you get done. We always look at each other as a band and go, okay, that's the best we could do at that point. But being at Elvis's house for a month, and we spent a week doing shows during that time, but in 29 days, we recorded the double album. I'll never forget, we were listening, it wasn't mixed, but we, all the ideas were there. A couple of vocals I had to redo, but we got done. We were just hugging each other. We're like, man, how do we just do that? We don't even realize what we did. And it's just because we got in a flow. And I always go back to, like, we're a really strange rock and roll band. We not only like each other, we love each other. We love each other's company. There's jokes flying all over the internet between us and our little groups. We enjoy each other's company, not just musically, but just hanging around. Come see us out with Hootie and Edwin McCain. It'll be a fun show. 45 cities, all over. So, and once again, we all kind of grew up together. We're all on the same label. All of us have known each other for 30 years. It's almost like a frat. A lot of golf, a lot of joking with each other. pranks and fun stuff, like innocent stuff. But it's always good to be around people and bandmates and other bands that have no ego. They feel as blessed as we do to be on that stage and where we are in our life and our career. That's what Hootie and Edwin, both bands, bring to the table. Squeeze in 3 new ones and 1 cover, and then just a rock and roll show. It's Edwin McCain called me the other day. We're going to have him join us on a song, and he goes, "Y'all don't play with clicks or anything?" Because that messes me up. I was like, "No, dude, we're real and raw. If we had clicks, it would really confuse us. We're already confused enough. We like depending on each other." That's basically it. Just 50-hour minute set that's just kind of showcases the history of Collective Soul with the new.
How did you come up with the name Collective Soul?
Oh, I was reading Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, and I think the character Howard Rourke was in there talking about we're all a collection of souls. And I thought, collection of souls, kind of cool. I remember yellow penning it. I thought, collection of souls, what about collective soul? Sounds like a unity, a true unity, a one unity, which a band should be. To be honest with you, it's the only one all the guys agreed on to. They're all kind of names being thrown out there, You hope you live with it for the rest of your life. They're all over the place. But when I said collective soul, everybody was like, okay. It wasn't like we jumped up and down, thought it was the greatest name ever, but it's the one that everybody went, okay.
What does music do for people?
What music means to me is imagination. There's no boundaries. You go back to the Beatles, they would write songs that were just beautiful acoustic ballads, sung with orchestration, and then they'd be trippy. To me, first rule of rock and roll is there is no rule, and that's where the imagination comes into play.
To hear more of this interview, visit our podcast, LifeMinute TV, on iTunes and all streaming podcast platforms.